Hi, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is Listening Beyond the Soundbites. Joining me in studio today, I am very honored to introduce Lieutenant General John Broadmeadow, who is the president of Norwich. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Pat. It's good to be here.
Well, thank you. Good to see you again.
It is good to see you, too.
We met at the Von Trapp Lodge. The Vermont Chamber of Commerce was recognizing Major General Gregory Knight as their Man of the Year, Person of the Year. Can't say Man of the Year anymore, it's Person. And it was a fabulous night, and we sat at the same table and started gabbing and talking to your lovely wife.
Ah, thank
Very
you,
nice.
Karen. Karen enjoyed that night also.
Yeah, that was very nice.
Yeah.
We're obviously going to talk about Norwich with, I think there's no one in central Vermont that doesn't know Norwich. And, you know, my memory of Norwich is in the 4th of July parade or any parade, in Northfield, when they come over that hill and march down the hill, I cry.
Yep.
If you're near me, I cry. I just get so overwhelmed by that.
Well, don't think any that makes me feel good.
Oh, it's
you
fabulous.
cry when you see cadets.
I told you, I'm not
great.
kidding. Love country mom apple pie.
Yeah, it is a wonderful thing. You know, we did it again this year, 50th anniversary of the parade, and I was very honored to be sitting up on the grandstand.
Oh, nice.
I didn't cry.
No,
but
well,
I
it's
did.
okay to cry,
I did have a huge, overwhelming emotion watching them come
It's just
down
so
that hill.
Powerful.
It is.
You know, like every Thursday, the Army takes the Air Force takes its helicopters out, and they go over my house, and I run out every Thursday and wave to them. And I met them a while ago, and they looked for where my house was, and they now wave back.
Oh, that's great.
They make sure I can see them, so I have to make sure I'm dressed at the hour they go by. But anyway, I don't normally do this very often about talking about the date that we're videotaping this, but today is a very special day. It's 9/11, and we woke up this morning hearing the names of those who perished in the towers and others. And I just was thinking about Norwich and you and what you do in Norwich to sort of recognize this important day.
Yeah, you know, first off, thanks for recognizing it, Pat. It really is very special that you know we continue. This long afterwards to continue to remember,
sure.
It was a horrible day and changed many of our lives, mine included. My life changed on that day, and it set a course that I did not really understand I was going to go on. One of the things that I'm really grateful about is how our cadets and our civilian students at Norwich honor this day. Most of them weren't born. And it's hard to believe, right? It seems like it was just yesterday, right? But yesterday, our freshmen were invited to go out and plant flags on our upper parade ground in front of Jackman Hall, and they planted a flag for everybody that lost their lives that day.
That's 4,000 some odd?
Yes.
Whoa, that must be, just to look at it must be.
Yeah,
overwhelming.
it is very, small flags, but it still, it fills a portion of the upper parade ground. Behind that is, we call it the tour strip. It's where Marines march their tours, and in this case, they're marching a vigil. So if you can picture the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, a lot of people, have that visual memory of soldiers walking in front of the tomb. Our cadets march very solemnly, very slowly, up and down that tour strip in vigil for the people that lost their lives. And then tonight, it's very special, and if you haven't seen one, it's called an Echo Taps ceremony. At 10 o'clock tonight, the student body will come out, Corps and civilian students, gather on the upper parade ground silently, no commands, no marching or no band, and they will stand there, and at 10 o'clock tonight, two buglers will play taps, echoing back and forth in tribute to the victims of 9/11.
And is the public?
Public's always invited.
Really?
It is 10 o'clock at
I know, I
night,
was just
and it is
thinking about
it is at Norwich. But certainly the public is always invited to come up and watch. And since I've been president, we've done 3 Echo Tap ceremony, and that is an occasion that will bring a tear to my eye. So it will.
In the dark and
Yeah, it is a nice tribute. It really is.
And they said today that people are still dying from
Yes.
cancer, and
They
there
are.
was a reporter on Fox that said he has it.
Yes.
He has lung cancer, I guess.
Right.
And he said it on TV
Yep.
today.
Yep.
I thought, whoa.
Especially firemen, all first responders, but ordinary citizens who happen to be near ground zero. Unfortunately, many of them have passed away, but many of them still suffer with debilitating effects of that.
My very best girlfriend, I was in her wedding. She and her husband worked in the building next door, and when all the smoke, the smoke and the debris came in, she got asthma or something, and she passed away 2 or 3 years later. 2 years later, at night when she was sleeping, because and she had to use whatever those things are for your whatever they call them.
Inhaler,
And she just passed away, and I got the call from her family the next day, and she's on the list.
Yes.
Because they said it was definitely from 9/11, and her husband's still using the atomizer or whatever it is.
Sure, yeah. It's a horrible thing, but we can be proud as a country that we still remember it. Whether it's young cadets that weren't even born yet. Right. My classmates from the class of '83, we've been exchanging text messages all day long. I sent them a picture today. It's very much on my mind. My last job in the Pentagon. My office, one window was covered. Every year they hang a flag representing where the airplane struck. One of my windows was covered by that flag. And I took a picture out of the clear window of the flag, and the 9/11 memorial was down below. And I told my classmates today that it was really quite an honor to spend my last tour in the Marine Corps in that office. And there wasn't a day that I didn't look outside and see that memorial and
nice.
Think how what our country went through, and what an honor it was to be in that office. And
we have a friend, I don't know if you've heard of or met Diane Derby. She's a reporter, and she went to work for Senator Jeffords on 9/11 was her first day.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that's a day to start.
Isn't that amazing? She had quite the story. I mean, it was just awful.
Yeah, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of stories from that day.
For sure.
And to the point, it's nice that we still remember them, and thank you for remembering that today as we do this. Yeah.
We watch it faithfully. It takes a while. You listen to the names, and you just pray for them.
Yes.
I went to Shanksville once, and that's quite a visit. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I have not. I haven't been there yet. I will.
They have since built a memorial for people to leave. I had a really nice American flag pin. It wasn't one of those tin things. It was a real one. And we're walking, I've seen people, and I took it off, and Bruce goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm leaving this here." And I left it there, and I know it's in this display case that they put, but you get so caught up.
You do. You get very caught up. Yeah, I have not been to Shanksville, but
thank you for listening, and I'm sure you've got your stories and memories from 9/11. And of course, today, Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I guess that's the assassinated.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. While he was trying to talk to a whole group of young people.
Right.
Man's amazing.
Yeah.
He just knew the right thing to say. He always said, "Prove it to me."
Right.
That was his theme song, and he asked the kids to prove to him why they're believing the way they do it.
Sure.
He always had the exact right answer. And I
good.
couldn't think that fast. It's all right there in some kind of Rolodex.
Right.
And they couldn't argue with him after a while.
Yeah, but it's a shame, because political violence especially, has no place in our society. That's not, you have to honor and respect somebody that wanted to have dialogue like that, and strove for dialogue like he wanted. And it's an absolute tragedy that somebody decided to throw that out the window and try and political violence again has no place.
I honestly don't understand how they think this can change the world. I just get madder at them, and I would never support them in their cause, whatever it is, because they act like that.
I know, I don't want to relate everything to Norwich, but it is something that we take great pride in, that we're, we are committed to listening to all ideas as long as reason remains free to combat them. And it's a great part of our mission statement. It's in the center of our mission statement about what we do, and it is something that we really try to give to our students, that you have to listen to everybody. You have to accept all ideas, and you have to be reasonable in your discourse. And certainly violence, especially, it takes reasonableness completely out of the equation.
I don't know how you can live with such anger in you all the time.
You can't.
It must eat you alive at some point.
It does, I would imagine.
So speaking of Norwich, which we want to do, I must say I love the motto, "I will try."
I love that too.
And I think my parents have always said, as long as you try. That was always the thing in our house, as long as you try.
That's right.
And then you surprise yourself, right?
That's right.
What you can accomplish.
My sense of that motto has evolved over the years. As a student, you take it on, you're proud of it, and but my sense, especially as the president now, has a new meaning. Like you said, in your family, try something new, and don't be afraid to fail at it, and that's okay. But trying is something that we really want our students to walk away with.
Right.
It becomes more than just a motto for us. It truly should be a way of life, like your family did for you.
Well, I just love the things that you have on your website. Some of the phrases, I wrote them all down because I thought this is just so. Every one of them could be the motto.
Sure.
It talks about go far, go further, go beyond. Trying is an act of bravery. That is really a thoughtful statement.
It is,
I
isn't
thought
it?
about that for a while.
Yeah.
And then learning comes from struggle, and succeeding goes beyond what you thought possible.
Sure.
What a great way to think and live.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, though, too, Pat, because we really want them to be more than just things that are on the website, more than just taglines to try and attract students or whatever. We want people, and this is something, this is why we have the lifestyle we do on that campus, to really embed in people's thinkings and the things that they do, those concepts, those ideas. I will try. It is more than a slogan. It is something that we want our students to bring on in their life. Trying is an act of bravery. We're going to challenge you while you're there. Try things, and you succeed in life by trying, by striving to do more. So we really do try and inculcate those thoughts and into our students.
Well, you must be proud of almost every cadet, or not every cadet, because everyone I have ever met in any situation, just kind, respectful, articulate.
Yeah.
It's just a pleasure. It really is.
It is. We obviously push our cadets hard in that regard. But I have a lot of respect for our civilian students too. Our civilian students, 50 years now, we've had women in the Corps, and the civilian student aspect came along with that. We really try and imbue that in them as well. And we do it in a different way. But thank you for that. I will say we're not always successful. Every once in a while they can try my patience, but for the most part,
how does that
they're
interaction
wonderful.
work? I was thinking about that, about the individuals in the Corps and the civilians.
Sure.
Do they intermingle? Do they in the same classes in some cases?
They're all in the same classes.
Oh, great.
So the students that live on campus, they do live apart, right? So we have the upper parade ground with our barracks, and that's where the students in the Corps of Cadets live. Our civilian students that live on campus are on the south side of the campus. We have 2 new dorms. When we sold Vermont College, we ended up building two new dorms on campus, and that's where our civilian students live. So they live apart, but during the day, they're completely intermingled in their classrooms. You go to the dining hall, they're all in there together. Even walking around campus, it's funny, somebody made an observation, their first time on campus, they were walking around, they put a blog out and said, I watched these cadets marching by, saluting, and the young freshmen were, getting challenged by upperclassmen and having to walk in the gutter and all of the things that we make our freshmen do in their orientation to become cadets. And then right next to them, you have a civilian student walk by in their pajamas, it actually happened while we were walking. One of our civilian headphones on, walking to class, and in the classroom, they're indistinguishable. They are tremendous students. On the athletic field, we have both lifestyles, civilian and corps students. They intermix and they intermingle. It makes for a vibrancy on our campus that
different
nobody
views
else
on
has.
things and
They can have tremendously different views, and sometimes not what you expect, right? But it is. I like the word vibrancy. The two lifestyles intermingling, getting along with one another. Vibrancy is a great word. It's a wonderful experience. We had it different when I was here.
We didn't mention you are a graduate of Norwich.
I am a graduate. Both my wife and I are graduates.
What I was reading didn't say that. Oh, great.
Yeah. So we were both Norwich grads. Back then, our civilian students lived here on the what used to be the Vermont College campus, right? Yeah. And so Karen lived here, and she and the other civilian students would take the bus over to Norwich every day, and they'd come back here, and they slept in the dorms here. And there was a good intermingling back then, but it was much more distinct. Now that we have both lifestyles on campus, you're watching that interaction. It's different, but it's fun, and we enjoy it an awful lot.
Anybody who is a civilian here, Ben Kinsley, who's my co-host on many events, he graduated from Norwich, and when they say they graduated from Norwich, there's there's this. Wow.
A little pride.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
In him, and people listening to him realize that he's gone to an excellent school, and to be commended.
Oh, thank you.
I love Norwich. I really do. There's some things about you that I didn't mention. You were the first Marine to lead Norwich. Yay.
Yes,
Hoorah, as they say.
Hoorah, very good.
You're the first alumnus president in over 3 decades to come back and be, after graduation, to be the president. That's cool.
I have to. I won't challenge it because it is technically correct. But the last true graduate as president was General Russell Todd, who was here. In fact, he came in my last year at Norwich in 1983. And then Rich Schneider and many people. Don't you love Rich? Who doesn't? How do you not?
Oh, no, for real. That's true.
Rich was there for 28 years. Yeah. And he changed that campus. He changed the school in incredibly positive ways. This whole mingling of lifestyles, the growth on the campus was tremendous. The quality of our programs, our fiscal stability is all due to those 28 years that Rich was there. And people say this line, and I'm starting to challenge them on it, because I will say that Rich Schneider is as much a Norwich grad as anybody who spent there 4 years and got a degree. Rich is an honorary degree recipient from Norwich, but even more so, he is a storied part of it. Yeah. So I am proud to be a grad, and I'm proud to be a president who's a grad. Yes. But I will, I don't make as big a deal about we haven't had a grad in 30 years because Rich Schneider.
So in the article,
it probably does, and I'm gonna get my folks to change that because
they also said 30 years in the Marines. Now that's
well, yeah, almost actually close to 40. About
my word!
It ended up including my time at Norwich, 39 and a half years in the Marine
That's great.
Corps. So,
We're a Marine-Navy family.
That's great,
we watch Victory at Sea every Sunday.
Okay.
Remember how old am I?
Yeah.
We had to go down to my uncle's house on Sunday afternoon, have dinner or supper or whatever, and then sit and watch Victory at Sea.
Victory at Sea. That's
and you
great.
didn't, it was sort of like Blue Bloods, that you never miss Sunday dinner. You never miss the filming of Victory at Sea.
That's great.
Yeah, so cool. So you also have, which I found fascinating, your strategic plan. And I want to thank you. I actually watched you and Al Gobay
Good.
on the public hearing. I adore Al Gobay. I don't know how he got to be the president of the board, but what an amazing find.
He really is.
Yeah.
Well, he's a grad. So
Oh, is he? Oh, see, there you
yeah,
go.
so Al came on the board of trustees, a relatively new, relatively new member of the board. But Al's passion for Norwich, the fact that he's a Vermonter, which is something that is, for me and for many on the board, very, very important as well. I really enjoy that. But Al's just a very dynamic.
Yeah, he is.
You know, he picked up, as a brand new trustee, picked up a lot of projects that we needed to have done, and he did a great job with them. He's a great partner, and I really enjoy having him.
Very thoughtful, very smart.
He is.
I worked with him in state government, so that's where I knew him when he was there.
Yeah.
And very sad that he went elsewhere, but he's just a wonderful man.
He is.
So you must make a great team.
We are. I think we do. I hope I hope others think so as well. I think they do. I enjoy. Our last chairman, Alan DeForest, had been the chair for 9 years.
Yeah.
Served the school literally, from the day he came there. And Alan is a true leader, like Rich Snyder.
Right.
He and Rich Snyder spent a lot of time doing important leadership efforts for Norwich. But Al and I hope I bring a different vibrancy to the school. I use that word vibrant again, right? Didn't I? But it's true. I think there's a different feel when you turn over leadership, and Al has got a lot of ideas. He's bringing in many things from not only state government but business, his own business, and I'm very happy to have him as a partner.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I just always enjoyed working with him. So on the strategic plan, you had 6 topics.
Sure.
And I thought some of them were very interesting, and if I could just ask you, obviously there's some fiscal stability and management, that's a pretty given.
Right.
We need to continue. But you also said enrollment management, start ready.
Sure.
Start ready is a big issue for me, and I was just curious what that meant at Norwich.
Yeah, well, it means something very important in Norwich, and we actually, I think, kind of proved it out a little bit this year. We exceeded our budget goals for incoming students this year, and I'm very proud of that. And we did it because we have got a tremendous team in our enrollment department. Kim Riley is our vice president for enrollment. Kim comes in with a wealth of experience from a lot of other schools. She's been there now for a little over 2 years. And one of the things that our enrollment folks do is what I call a very high-touch, very personal enrollment effort. A lot of times in higher ed, you simply buy lists and you send out flyers, or today you send out emails, or you try and get them to look at your website. Our team is much more focused on that. We try and find students that not only are propensed to come to Norwich, but fit Norwich as well. So we look around the country, and we really do recruit nationally. We've got folks from all over the country today. And it's not just, hey, please apply to Norwich. There is a very deliberate outreach by our folks, and when people indicate an interest, we do things like invite you to the Future Leaders Camp or the Leadership Challenge weekends that we do. And we bring you on campus, we give you a taste of what it's like to be in the Corps of Cadets, we give you a taste of what it's like to be here in Vermont, in central Vermont, which is a big attraction for a lot of students. It isn't for some. Some want to go to schools in big cities and everything. So we give them that opportunity. Come see us. Come spend time with us. A lot of schools do that, but we make it very personal, and we find out why Norwich for you. And quite honestly, I tell parents when they come with their students to visit that we're not for everybody. We're going to challenge you. This is not a school if you're looking to, be the laid back undergraduate. we're probably not your school. So we try and be honest with it. But what Kim and her team in our admissions department do is make it personal, and a lot of contact with parents. One of the things we found, we needed to reshape students who are the target of all of our recruiting efforts, don't always tell their parents everything. So we've created, imagine that, right?
Really, I can't imagine.
We've created a portal for prospective students' parents to understand as well. And we're doing things like that make it what I call a high-touch effort to bring students in, and it's bearing fruit. Not only are we bringing good numbers in, this year as I said, we exceeded our initial enrollment goals. And I know you're going to sound like you're going to say you're the president talking about your student body, but we're bringing in some really wonderful students, some really wonderful young people. And I'm not just saying it. I am constantly hearing it around our campus today that this incoming class just has something different about them. And we really like that. And I attribute that to the efforts of our enrollment team, working with a lot of other people on campus, but doing a good job of bringing good Norwich students in.
I was focused on that because our tech centers, I knew the former president very well, and he used to tell me that when kids graduate or in high school and graduate and go to the tech center, that they are sometimes 6 months behind.
Yeah.
And he has to spend the time in tech center to bring them up to speed, which takes a while, and I think that's just wrong. You know, you're paying for an education for 2 years for tech center, not to make up what should have been taught in high school. Yeah,
you know, it's we're finding good students coming to Norwich. We really are across the board. But I'm not afraid to, meet them wherever they are as they're coming in. And it is something else that we're doing. I'm very proud of our faculty. Sometimes, you'll have faculty that when students come on, they're expecting, okay, you're either going to succeed right away or you're not. And it is a mentality that exists among some folks in academia that prove yourself. And if you can't prove yourself right up front, you're gone. And that's a method. But it's not what our faculty do.
That's right.
Our faculty, I'm very, very proud of them because they are vested in our students' success. Now, and this is something that we constantly watch. We don't give away grades. We don't give away the classes. You have to do the work. Everybody is vested in this idea that we're going to challenge you, but we're going to challenge you by being there to help you succeed, by helping you make that challenge. And we've got a great dedicated faculty who really do take that on. I've sat in, as part of my education, because I'm not an academic, as you know, I'm a military officer. So I've spent this last year really learning academics and really learning, not just the leadership of academia, but how do you really do it? And I'm far from an expert. But as I've sat through many of these sessions, we have a panel of professors, administrators, counselors, our chaplain, who sit in a forum throughout the year, watching students who have flags come up. I've sat through 2 of those meetings and I've listened to them talk in detail about these students and what they're doing to help them along academically, physically in the Corps of Cadets and making them successful there. We spend the time, again, very high touch, getting to know these students. It's a nice thing about being a small university with a very dedicated faculty that are willing to do that.
Now, when they graduate from Norwich, are they automatically in a leadership role in, or whatever the ranks would be in the military?
You know, it's one of the things that I've got to do a better job in talking to people about. Only about 20% of our student body go into the military. And even among the Corps of Cadets, a small minority of them go into the Corps.
That surprises
into the military.
That surprises me.
It is. Well, it is to some.
Especially about the Corps.
Again, one of the things, and it's a nuance about Norwich, we don't make lieutenants, Norwich doesn't. ROTC, each of the services has an ROTC program on campus, and they make lieutenants. So if you're in the Corps of Cadets, when you come to Norwich, you're in the Corps of Cadets, you have to take ROTC for your first 2 years. But if you decide, hey, the military as a career isn't for me, you don't have to join the military. You can leave ROTC after 2 years. Now, many of them want to stay engaged in the leadership opportunities and the learning, and so we have a relationship between the Corps of Cadets and ROTC to let them do that.
And ROTC started at Norwich,
It
did
did.
it
We're
not?
the birthplace. We are the birthplace of
I didn't know
ROTC.
that.
It's a great story, you know,
Yeah,
and we
please,
get
can
to
you
do
share
that.
a little bit? We have a little time.
Sure. So
that's so exciting.
So it's interesting and pertinent to today too. Our founder Alden Partridge was a superintendent at West Point and felt that they were on the wrong track. And he said, I think this needs to be done by a private institution, not by the government. We don't need to create a professional military class, but everybody should be educated in a military, or have the opportunity to be educated in a military environment, reflective of what ROTC is today. On every campus that has an ROTC program, you have civilian students, for the most part, learning in a military training program to make officers for the military. So,
And he also brought, he called it the American System of Education,
He did.
which is a different approach that he brought.
He did.
And it started
one of
again all over the United States, right?
You know, he ended up founding a lot of other schools. The Citadel, another military college down in South Carolina. A lot of people don't know Clemson University was founded by Alden Partridge.
Wow.
And many of the principles that he started with Norwich were carried on to many of these other schools. Partridge really had a pretty dynamic idea of what education should be about. It's not just classroom study. Get out of the classroom, experience the real world. And we have that today. Experiential learning is foundational to what we do. We believe that you have to do more than just sit in a classroom to learn.
I agree.
So we get you out, we get you doing things. Internships are vital to what we do. Summer programs, some of them military, many of them civilian. We've got a good track record of putting students into particularly Washington, D.C. government programs, but a lot of businesses, and it's something that I'm trying to do in Vermont. I've spent a lot of time working with businesses throughout Vermont to take a look at Norwich students and bring them on as interns. I'm trying to convince our students, many of them come from out of state, and I'm trying to convince them, take a look at staying here in Vermont. Those of you that aren't going in the military, this is where you want to look first, because this is a great state to be. You're educated in this state. Take a look at many of the things that are going on here, and you'll find there's some pretty dynamic employers. Start to take a look at them. I'm working to create a better relationship, or a good relationship with many of the local businesses that are looking for our kinds of graduates. I want them to stay here.
Governor Scott would be, have you ever talked to him about this? I bet he'd jump at this.
I'm a big Governor Scott fan.
There you go.
He was our graduation speaker this year.
Nice.
And he nailed it.
I bet,
He caught the character of Vermont of Norwich in a great way. It was a memorable speech to our students, challenging them to get engaged, be engaged with your local governments, be engaged as a citizen, which is really what we want our students to be, good citizens for this nation, ready for the responsibilities of being a citizen in a free republic. That's a very broad definition, but we challenge them to take that on. And Governor Scott hit that dead on at the graduation
He's
speech.
good at that. He's
He
very
is.
good.
I'm a huge supporter of
Well, that sounds
growing.
like something he would like to see happen.
I hope so.
To keep the kids here.
I hope so, yeah.
Years ago, I worked for a big chemical, I can't say chemical, they'll get mad at me, chemical company in Ardsley, New York. And there was an organization that brought kids from inner cities, kids that didn't have much of a chance, and they would take an internship with us with the promise of staying, a guaranteed job for at least 2 years. And that was part of the program.
Yeah.
And we had these kids, they were fabulous. They wanted to learn, and the idea of having a job without going out looking for a well-paying job.
Sure.
And I thought that was a great concept.
Yeah.
For the kids who may not have the same opportunities others do.
I like that. I like the idea of getting out and getting into to local businesses. Conversely, another thing that we do is we take a lot of projects for local businesses on as part of our education program. We have students that go out and look at local businesses, say, hey, how can I help? And they make it a project during the school year to work on things. We've seen it. I saw a number of those in our engineering department especially, but our cyber folks do it. They take on some things where businesses need a little bit of sophisticated help in cybersecurity and things like that. And
Yeah. I
we
wanted
do
to talk about cybersecurity because when I was working for state government, you started a cybersecurity department. If I have my facts wrong, please change. And it turned out to be so well recognized. I mean, everybody was thrilled that you did it, but also it became a real benchmark
It did.
for how to do it.
It did.
And I think that's great. What a great opportunity for people. And you stole, you made an offer to somebody in state government who everybody had hoped would stay in our IT system.
Sure.
And he loved it over there. I'd see him, but it really grew into well respected nationally.
We have a nationally respected program. Some people will tell you we're number 2 in the nation. I don't like those kinds of rankings because there are true centers of excellence throughout this country, and cybersecurity is one of those very fast evolving kind of things. You talked about our strategy. In our strategy, we talk about an agile and relevant curriculum. Our cybersecurity curriculum is just one of those things that we want to get at. You can't rest on your laurels there. It changes constantly. So we're always trying to work to stay up front. What do businesses need? We've got a lot of linkages into the Department of Defense, obviously, and we spend a lot of time with folks in the Pentagon saying, what does this nation need for cybersecurity? We have a lot of dialogue with them, and we bring that into our curriculum, and we modify our curriculum. We have some top shelf folks. Pat, you mentioned one other thing I would love to highlight too.
Sure.
You talk. I wasn't here when we stole somebody, and I don't know who it was. But I would say that I see some great opportunities for exchanges between folks that are working in state government. Come to Norwich.
Perfect.
And I'd love to see some of our folks from Norwich go and get practical experience, not just our students, our faculty and staff. I would love to see an exchange back and forth because it creates this understanding of the needs of Vermont, the state of higher education today. I would love to see us establish some type of effort where people are going back and forth. I think there's a lot to offer on both sides.
That's excellent.
I'll extend that into businesses here too, that if there are folks in business in Vermont that want to come and work inside academia for a while, and likewise, I'd like to see
What an experience to get that broad view of everything.
I think it's fantastic. As somebody who transitioned in a career late in my life, I've got a great opportunity to understand.
Well, and I think the state government would benefit because somebody's coming in with a different view of things and maybe sees things to streamline it, to do it different, and that would be great because when you're there and you're working, we've always done it this way. That's what happens. 10, 15 years of doing the same thing, you can't see it any different.
That's right. Sometimes you need that change. You need that change. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We should embrace it.
Oh, I love that. Are you working with anybody on this? Or
I've had some preliminary conversations, nothing deliberate. But I've started some conversations, and hopefully, that'll be one of my longer-term goals while I'm here.
That's great. Excellent. Maybe you're chair of the board. You two could team up? He knows a few people.
Al knows a couple people, and he's a good partner in that regard. He's counseling me a lot on how Vermont works.
Excellent.
So,
I was just thinking about Rich Snyder. I should say this. He was a man who always took my phone calls, and I was a commissioner. I always had commissioner jobs or secretary jobs. But when I needed him to help, he always took my call, and I thought, I don't have anything better to do than to talk to me, and I was always very impressed with that.
I'm always jealous of people that have the opportunity. I don't know how they do it. I always feel too busy sometimes.
Well, I know, that's me. I'm like, not now.
But I do have some good. You mentioned Laura Mel, who's just wonderful.
She's wonderful.
She keeps me on track, but she knows everybody, and she does a great job of helping me out. So.
Shout out to you, Laura. That's great. She's very, very helpful.
I wouldn't be able to do this job without her. So.
That's saying a lot. That's really good. So what I found this chart. I guess it's a chart. And it talked about the military, the individuals becoming cadets from Rook, which is rookie, to private. And they had this so cool thing. It's only 4 categories. But I thought, well, there's something to tell them. It goes, the Rook or first-year cadet, what happens, they adapt to military college lifestyle, learn to understand and lead themselves. Then the second level, the second year is learn to lead others. Third year is learn to lead small units. And fourth is learn to lead organizations and I can't read my writing, and larger groups. I think that's just gradual, move them in, and that's great.
It's one of the great things about training, about being educated in a military environment. You know, that first year you come here and it's a shock to the system in some ways, right? That first week that you come, you know, it's funny. We do a talk. The Commandant of Cadets, Bill McCullough, and I. Bill's got a great relationship, you know, with our students and has this wonderful rapport. And we both do opening remarks, and his is, you know, he wraps up the opening remarks as the parents and rooks are there, and he tells them, okay, at the end of his talk, he says, parents, you got 7 minutes to say goodbye to your rooks, and then I need you to move to the back of the auditorium. And then we, at the end of that 7 minutes, we take the cadets and we march them away. And oh my gosh, you should see
moms are crying.
Moms and dads are both crying.
Come back.
Sometimes the cadets are too, the rooks are too. But you know, and then it's a tough week. You know, we push you physically, mentally. We challenge you to really, you know, set your own self aside and become part of the team, and you learn not just the fundamentals of leadership, but you learn how to follow, which is important.
That is true.
And you've got to learn to follow to be a good leader. I'm a big believer in that. And then, as you said, through those 4 years, you grow in your leadership capabilities to the point where, you know, Matt Ober, our Cadet Colonel Matt Ober, is commanding, is leading over 1,000 cadets, and you know, 4 different subordinate units with many other subordinate units below them. So it's a very complex problem that you know, he's doing that on top of his studies and the other things that he's working on, and he's just one example of cadet leaders throughout that have some mentors in the commandant staff, but they're doing it on their own. This is their program. They're leading it. And you see them grow over those 4 years.
That's what I was just thinking, the way this folds out, that by the time they're in their 4th year, they must be ready to go.
You watch some of these cadet leaders, you know, walk around, regardless of whether they have a lot of cadet rank or, but you watch a self-assuredness and a confidence that is different. I see it in Marines, but you see it reflected in these students. You know, we do the same thing with our civilian students as well. It's not as tangible, it's not as visible, but we have a cadre of resident coordinators, resident advisors, young folks that live inside the dorm that do more than just manage keys and all the rest. They become the counselors and the advisors to our civilian students. And sometimes that's even harder because you don't have that visible rank that you wear on your collar, but you still need to present yourself as a peer leader. You still need to solve complex problems across big organizations, and we challenge our civilian students to do that as well.
And you have distance learning programs too, right? You've got on campus and then distance learning. Is that something new, or have you always
not at all.
done that?
In fact, again, we're talking about Rich Snyder. I'll give him great props because he was very visionary in this. Online learning came out in the middle of his tenure as our president. And as it first started, there were lots of talk about what's it going to look like. And obviously, as technology evolved, it got much more sophisticated. And Norwich was actually in the lead of putting on some online learning. But we anchored ourselves in our on-campus program, rightfully so. And I'm very proud of our online program, but it didn't grow like you see other schools. University of Maryland Global Campus or Southern New Hampshire University. These have tens of thousands of students in their online program, and they've become very, very dominant in that effort. I like to believe we've got a good balance in our programs, that our online programs maintain that same academic rigor that we have in our on-campus program. You can see there's a lot of bleed over in our faculty, not entirely, but many of our on-campus faculty teach online programs.
I'm assuming it's all civilians online.
You
You don't have cadets, do you?
No, we don't have
Yeah, no.
cadets, but we do have a lot of military personnel. Because of the nature of the school and our relationships within the Department of Defense. We've made great inroads into a lot of military education opportunities. So you'll find a lot of people in the Special Forces community in particular. We've got a relationship with the Joint Special Operations University, where we will supplement the work that they do in their military education and give them an online degree from Norwich. And it's a rigorous and tough degree. It's not an easy one, and a lot of these military personnel are taking that in addition to their military duties.
Wow.
Yeah. But we do have a lot of civilians as well. It's funny how many people I hear that I'm a Norwich grad, and they're very proud of being a Norwich grad, and they did their program entirely online.
Online, interesting.
Yeah, very proud of that.
I have a problem. Everybody's working at home these days, and I have a problem. I'm an old school. Who do you trust? You have to.
Sure.
Somebody in my family, 2 people in my family, started new jobs in the middle of COVID, and they didn't meet their coworkers except on Zoom, and you can't get personal on Zoom.
No, you can't.
So you miss out that water cooler, chit-chatting and who can help you in a bind and who can't. And
that's right.
So
you do lose something. You lose that
do.
personal
Absolutely.
touch, don't you? It is one of the things I need to examine. When we first started the program, we would spend time bringing students to campus for a portion of time. I have to be honest, I don't know how long. But part of their program had them come on campus. I think it was probably COVID that caused us to step away from that. But I've been asked a couple times now, you're going to bring that back. So I haven't got to it yet, but I'm going to take a look and see is it doable.
I think you lose that.
I do.
Because I don't know, over years when I've been in jams, once or twice, to go to somebody to help you.
Yep.
But on Zoom, how do you know the people that way? You know what they do, but that's it.
I agree. You create relationships face to face like this and having great conversations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why for doing the show, I always prefer that my guests come into the studio.
Yeah.
Looking at the Zoom it's just hard.
It's different.
Very hard. Lots of things changed because of COVID.
They sure did. Yeah.
Plus, if I stayed home and worked at home, I'd be going between my chair and the refrigerator all day. So I wouldn't look the same. I'd be eating all day. So that's my husband will testify to that. So we have about 10 minutes, and what I wanted to make sure is we've covered everything you up, but we have to talk about sports.
Let's talk sports.
Let's
I
talk
love
sports.
Hockey's always been a big deal at Norwich.
Oh, it's amazing.
I remember when I was a student there, we were in the old Taylor Arena, and it was a very close, tight wooden bleachers. Nobody ever sat anyways. I don't even know why we had bleachers, but I can remember chicken wire up in portions of the, so it was loud and it would be filled with cadets and we'd be yelling and screaming. Now we've got Kreitzberg Arena. That is beautiful. If you haven't been, it is gorgeous.
Lots of parking.
So I'm going to put a plug. If you're in Central Vermont this winter, come watch a Norwich hockey game. It is, even if you're not in Central Vermont, come to Central Vermont because going to Kreitzberg Arena and watching either our men's or our women's team is first-rate hockey.
You just get caught up in the excitement. It's ridiculous.
It is. It is
I
wonderful.
was never into hockey till we started going there, and then I'm like, wow.
It's I love watching it. I am a hockey fan. I grew up. My dad watched the Bruins every single night, and I grew up watching it on Channel 38 out of Boston.
Fast.
And I was a big hockey fan here at Norwich, and now I am their biggest supporter. And I'm looking forward to a couple good seasons.
Oh, I bet it's great. The students, the whole arena is just, you can feel it when you walk in.
You can.
It's like, wow.
And it's a different environment now too. A lot of schools are finding that athletics, and in New England particularly hockey, is a great draw for recruiting students. For us, it's a way of life. For us, it's got very deep meaning. But all of our sports programs are great. Ed Hockenberry, who's our athletic director, does a fantastic job. Again, he grew up here in Northfield, lived up in Burlington, was at UVM, and we were very lucky to get him down as our athletic director. He's brought in a bevy of coaches that are just fabulous.
Excellent.
Karen and I try and watch as many practices. The practices are almost as much fun as
Really?
watching the
That'd
games.
be kind of cool. Yeah.
You know, yeah, it is a lot of fun. I'm heading to Castleton on Saturday to go watch us play football against
Oh,
Castleton.
now see, there were a couple of things that ice hockey, we know, baseball, basketball, cross country, and football, and golf.
We have a golf team.
Yes, I didn't know that.
Neither did I until I got here. So we have. Let me see if I get this right. We got 23 sports, 12 on the men's side, 10 on the women's side, and one co-ed team. Our co-ed team is our rifle team.
Oh, perfect.
We've got a retired Marine, Patrick Knapp, who's leading that team up. It's a lot of it's fun.
I bet.
It's a co-ed team, and we've put out. Some of our women shooters have been fabulous over the years. I may get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure one of our first All-American women was from the rifle team. I may have my facts wrong on that. I'll
Let's
have to
hope so. That was great. Yeah.
But I wasn't exposed to women's sports until I got back here in a big way. We had a little bit, but not robust when I was a college student. And now. As I watch our women's sports programs, I love women's hockey. It's different from the men's game. It's graceful. It's a great thing to watch.
I think we watch women's sports as much as we watch men's sports at home.
Yeah.
Track and field and whatever. I just like all that stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun to watch, and it has been one of the pleasures for Karen and I to come back. They actually pay me to go sit and watch sporting events. It's pretty great.
That's cool. Well, how did you get? We kind of going back a while. You first were on the board of directors.
Board of trustees.
How did that happen with your career?
Yeah. So I came on the board. I was there for a couple of years. Enjoyed that. It was something that as I left the military, I knew I loved at Norwich. I was looking for ways to give back. And I was very honored that Alan DeForest, who was our longtime chair, reached out and said, "John, we'd like you to join the board." Fairly early on, and he gave me a little bit of time, to decompress from my military career, and I took about a year off, and then I joined the board, and then we ended up. Our last president had been there for about 3 years, Mark Anarumo, and he moved on very quickly. And as he moved on, we looked around. Alan had no desire to go through another search that quickly, so he asked me if I would take the job on. It made a little bit of. I was surprised how much notoriety it made around Vermont. I didn't really. I wasn't expecting that.
I saw a lot of clippings.
So it was, and at the time when I said yes. Literally the day after I said yes to the board, I found out I had cancer.
John.
It's something, Pat, it was one of those things that a lot of times people don't like to talk about it, but I become a big advocate for it. People need to hear about it because prostate cancer is very prevalent among men. And it's something that a lot of men don't like to talk about, but there's
a lot of successes with it. And people are afraid.
I like to believe I'm a success from it.
Well,
I went through cancer surgery, and we had to delay my getting into the school for a while. But by about 3 or 4 months, the military was great. They took good care of me, and so I once the doctor cleared me to come on up, I got up here, and I got up here in the summertime, right after graduation, and it was quiet. The students were gone from campus. The faculty left very shortly after. I didn't get a chance to know many of the faculty. They go and do other things in the summertime. Many of them are, doing summer programs and things like that. And the campus was very quiet, and gave Karen and I a great chance to kind of learn, resettle into Vermont. Karen's a Montpelier native, so it was nice to reconnect. It was nice to be back home and reconnect with a lot of things. And there was a little bit of trepidation as we got closer to the start of the year. I'll be honest. I've been very fortunate to spend my life around young Marines. Even later stages of my career. But I've never spent time around students, especially college students. I mean, since I left here in 1983, I hadn't been around college students. So there was a little trepidation coming into the start of the school year, that first year. And it only took about a week for me to realize I love this. And so this past summer, I was chomping at the bit for the students to come back. I couldn't wait. And
cool.
the start of this academic year has exceeded all of my expectations.
Wonderful.
They are wonderful. It is just so much fun.
It's great that you're this excited because they sense that.
Yeah,
They would know that you're happy in the job and love it and love them. They would react to that.
They make me excited. They truly do. It is a wonderful thing to be around young people today, and it's one of those. Don't talk bad about these young kids because this generation is going to do some great things, and I love
sadly
it.
there are others in that generation that kind of get you worried, but when you look around, they're there.
Oh yeah, we have some tremendous young people that I know are going to do wonderful things. They do. They create a sense of excitement. They have me so optimistic about the future. And that's not just words. I mean that in all sincerity.
I've been to a couple of meetings there. You've got good food, John. They have a great cafeteria or whatever the heck.
Every once in a while, I'll hear from some parents, but we do. Sodexo.
You do?
Sodexo is our long-term contractor there at Norwich. When I was there, we did it all ourselves. We used to march down. I shouldn't tell stories about 40 plus years ago, but
can edit it out. Don't worry.
we would march down, and everybody would eat family style at these big tables, and we had our own cooks, and the students were the waiters and things like that. Nowadays, we've transitioned to the same kind of not buffet, but buffet station kind of eating situation. And the variety is incredible, and the food really is great. Last year, as we started the school year last year, we opened what we called an allergen station. So a nod to those students that need gluten-free and
become very prevalent.
It has, and I'm very proud of the school for recognizing that and working with Sodexo. We created it, but they do a wonderful job. Not just in the dining facility, but the number of events that they support are incredible. We've got alumni weekend coming up next week, homecoming. The folks from Sodexo are so great because they will be working multiple events around the campus at the same time, and the quality is always great.
Yeah, it is. Every time I've gone, right to the buffet.
Good.
Turn.
We'll have to try that sometime. I'll have
thank you very much for coming on, John.
That's great.
Thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. My thanks to Lieutenant General John Broadmeadow, who is the president of Norwich University. Great. This is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the soundbites. See you next week.